Alright, so we are back with another fun-filled tutorial and periods and all sorts of other things. So let's go and get started. The first thing, as you know, I've already created a script for the player, which is just a basic move script. All he does is just moves left, right, and it keeps him from falling through the ground. So I'm going to actually edit the script and wait for it to load. So while it's loading, I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Alright, so now that it's loaded, all it is just a simple float for the speed. Um, I have a float in here that's jump force. I also have a private bool, which is grounded. This checks to make sure that, you guessed it, player's grounded. And then I'm using the player rigid body. So the first thing I do is actually get that rigid body component. And the idea for speed is I want to have a float which will be called speed X. This will be the input axis of horizontal, and it's multiplied by the speed value I set in here, and then that's multiplied by time.delta time. And then all it does is just does a transform translate. It does a speed 0 and 0. And on here, if input.get key down key code space, meaning I hit the space bar, the player will jump. To hell with that. Jump. So I'm actually creating a string here called jump. And basically is what that is. If we go here to project settings and we come to input manager, and when we expand out on axis, come down to jump, and as you see, the jump is spelled the exact same way that I have it spelled in here. We can actually call on any of these. And so, as you can see, the pause button, they do have a space. So what if, what is the advantage of doing this, Jimmy? The answer to that question is I have an icon. I no longer have an icon. But basically, this icon told me what the inputs were for the Xbox game controller. And you can get them very simply. In fact, I'll look them up later on when I'm actually feeling like it, which right now I'm not. But that's the advantage is if we want to use the Xbox controller or the PlayStation controller, we can actually assign values for jump. So that's the advantage of doing that. The next thing I want to do is, let me go ahead and explain this. So we have on trigger enter, and as you notice, this part right here, on trigger enter 2D and on collider 2D, these are very important for your scenes since we're working with sprites and the player can interact with sprites. And so if it's if there's an object that's tagged as ground, which the ground is tagged as ground, then is ground is true. And so you can see that we can only do a jump if is grounded is true. So I'm actually going to go a little bit excessive on this. I know it's not in our feature list or anything, but let's say hypothetically we want a double jump feature. How would you do that? Well, quite simply, let's go ahead and create a private bool. And we're going to say DBL jump. Alright, and this is automatically going to be set to false. And so in here, well, we have an if statement. And so this is where it can get kind of complicated. So we want to say, we have DBL jump, and then we're going to need another one for that, which will be can DBL jump. So DBL jump would be like the power up, and I'm going to need to go ahead and specify that. There we go. So I'm going to go and specify double jump power up and can double jump. So is what I'm going to do is if they hit the ground, then is what I'm going to say can double jump equals true. And for here I'm going to say, or actually I don't want to do that on the exit. I just want to do that on the enter. So anytime the player hits the enter, can double jump will always equal true. And if I go ahead and, what was that? I have no idea. It doesn't like me. Oh. Okay, that is... okay, yeah, I don't know what that was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if... We need to check to see if they have the double jump power up. and we'll say DBL jump power up. And you can also specify it down here. So you can actually say if DBL power up, then it will say can jump equals true. So this is another way you can do it. So we're going to say can double jump, and then we will actually take this line right here. I actually need to create brackets, and then I'm going to say can double jump equals false. So what's going to happen is they're going to jump, and then if they jump, it'll check to see if they can do a double jump. If they can, then great. So this code will not compile. And for the very simple reason... Oh, wait. This is key. This actually needs to be button. There we go. So right now, the only issue that we're going to have with this is it's going to say, well, of course you just jumped, so it's automatically going to equal false. We don't want it to do that. We actually want it to say that if you have jumped, and then we want to set... Like, we want to make it where it will do the jump. So let's go and create another bool. Has jumped. So we're going to have can double jump and has jumped. So as I told you earlier, because this is just created, it's automatically going to be a false. Automatically. So how do we make it true? Well, very easily. We'll come down here and we'll say has jumped equals true. And actually, we want to change this to a true because we want to make sure that the player has jumped and that they have... actually, I'm probably going to want to put this underneath. There we go. So this does need to be a false. The reason why this needs to be a false is because it'll start off as a false. So it'll check to see if the player's jumped, which means I actually need to put this back here. Jimmy, get your head out of your ass. I'm thinking too much. Let me go and just test it real quick. But basically, is what should be happening is it'll do a check to see if you've jumped. And if you haven't jumped, well, no, that's... So I was right. This actually needs to be... Ew. Okay. Because I want to do a check. I want to do the jump first. And then... Let me see. How do I want to do this? Oh, wait. I see how I want to do it now. Duh. I feel about as bright as an egg of baskets. If DBL can jump, so the player's going to hit, and then is grounded, which is registered as true, it'll jump. And, come on, is grounded. That's what I want. So essentially is what is happening here. Because I'm grounded, when I jump, it'll ignore this. But then when I'm up in the air, it'll actually do what I want it to do. So now if we come in here, which means we don't need the other has jumped. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But if we come in here now and we hit play, I don't know how high he's going to jump. He's probably going to jump like way off the map. Let's find out. Okay, I can't jump. And the reason why I can't jump, I almost bet anything if we click on ground, come in here to inspector. Now let's tag this ground. So, what is going on then, Scooter? Let me go into player. Maybe it's my jump force. Shouldn't be. No, it's set as a 2. So I'm going to tweak the jump force. Let me go and set this to 20. So none of those are working, which means we need to create a debug.log. So I'm actually going to encompass this in debug.log. I'm going to encompass those in swirly brackets, and I'm going to say is grounded. So all I'm doing is I'm looking for a true or false statement. If it's false, that tells me that there's something going on with the collider. If it's true, that tells me there's something going on with the rigid body, which I don't think I'm getting any. Yeah, I don't have any. I don't have any errors. The warning I'm getting here is because of the fact that I'm not doing anything with one of the variables I created. So yeah, we are true every time I'm hitting the space bar. So I'm definitely grounded. So we're good right there. So is what I want to do now. I am actually going to put this above here. Not like that. I'm going to put this above here. And so all I'm going to do is... You know what? Even better yet, I'm going to type in else if. So I know that that's good. And this is add force, transform up times jump force. So that should be working. I'm almost wondering if it's trying to do both of them. And it's like, what the hell do you want from me? That's the only thing I can think of. Okay, so then we come in here. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we comment out this code. And we'll see if that fixes it. I don't know why it would. I guess it could just be because it's conflicting with the code. That one I'm not 100% sure on. Okay, so that's not the issue at all then. So there's actually another issue in here, and I'm actually going to look at the rigid body 2D. I'm going to change the gravity scale to 0.2. Okay, I know exactly what it is now. So we set this up to button, and I don't think it's key. Well, no, it can't be button because I was actually getting the correct thing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to change this one to key, and I'm going to save it. So if we jump, we'll know that that's what it is, which I don't know why that's what it would be. Maybe? Oh, my bad. There we go. Key jump is unknown. Yeah, that's my fault. Shut up, Unity. Okay, so it's definitely not that. So we have something else going on. I'm actually going to change this to 200. There we go. So it's just I didn't have enough of a value on it. So I'm going to actually get rid of this crap. I'm going to get rid of this crap. I did not want to get rid of all that crap. I just want to get rid of this crap right here. That's the crap that can go. And then this crap can go. I can save it, and now let's test this crap out. I don't know why he's jumping so much higher, because it seems like the other night I put that at, I think like 5 or something like that, and it sent the player flying off the map. So we'll set this back to 200. Maybe there's something I'm missing or something I'm not realizing. I don't know. So it's definitely jumping up and down now. So that's good. That is good. We're getting there. Now I can get rid of this else statement. And this should work. So essentially what should happen is every time I come in contact with the ground, it should say can double jump equals true. So the first time I shouldn't be able to do a double jump. but the second time I should be able to. You know what? I'm actually going to change this to 600. Okay. Oh, wait. I know what it is. So we have the double jump power up, but we don't have anything in here to say double jump power up. So what we need to do, if other.gameObject.tag equals dblpu, which stands for double jump power up, we will say dbl jump power up equals true. Save. Come back in here. I'm actually going to just duplicate the player. I'm going to make it super small. I'm actually going to get rid of the movement script. I'm going to get rid of the rigid body. And then the box collider that is not a trigger can go away. And then last thing, I'm going to change this to dblpu. dblpu. Save. And I'm going to come in here, dblpu. So if I have typed that in correctly, and I should be able to hit that now, and I should be able to double jump. I feel like a retard sometimes. Oh, wait. No, I won't be able to double jump because that is still untagged. There we go. Now we should be able to do a double jump. Yep, there we go. So now you're wondering, well, why is it you can keep jumping? The reason why, because if you remember, I created the can jump, but I'm not setting it to anything. So here's where the can jump comes into play. See, I knew I needed it for something else. And can double jump. No, it's not can double jump. What is it? Has jumped. That's what it was. Has jumped. Has jumped equals true, which means this needs to be set to false. And whenever he comes back in contact with the ground, whenever she comes back in contact with the ground, has jumped equals what? True? Yep, that is correct. Oh, no, wait, equals false. I'm sorry. Okay, so now I should just be able to jump twice, and that will be the end of it. Okay, so I've come in contact with that. And there we go. I'm actually spamming the spacebar right now. I'm doing the double jump, but it's not giving me the full effect of it because of the fact that I'm saying yes, I have already jumped, so you're not allowed to jump anymore. Deal with it. So the next thing we need to do is player attack. Right. Alright, so I'm going to just make this file properties. I'm just going to make this 128 by 128. And for this, I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to spell ATCK. There we go. I'm going to actually save that as a PNG picture. And then I'm actually going to come into my file location, which is Blue Slayer. GBS Project 11S1 Blue Slayer Heartbreak Assets Sprites. And this one will just be called Attack PNG. So whenever you import a sprite, whenever you make any kind of sprite, even if it's just a base model sprite, the way we do this is we click on sprites. We have attack PNG. Texture type by default is set to, you guessed it, default. So when you click on this, click on Sprite 2D and UI, come down here, click Apply, done. And then to bring it into the scene, just drag it up there. And if we move it off to the side, there's our attack. So I'm actually going to make this smaller. And as what I want to do is I actually want to create an empty. And this will be called player attack. And the sprite cam and this cam, okay, both of these are the same. I actually want to move these. Actually, no, we don't want to move those, but we do want to create an empty, and we'll call this cameras. And so this way is what we can do is we can actually attach both of these to the cameras. And this way, these will just follow the player. So the player, we need to create a run. So I'm going to say public float min run speed max run speed. And as what I want to do is we will say if transform dot no, it's not translate. Oh wait, velocity.x is greater than 0. Basically, we're doing a check to see if he's moving in a positive value, or rb2d.velocity.x is less than 0. So we're just checking to make sure he's moving one way or another. If input dot I don't think there's a run, so I'm actually going to use get key. I just want to do get key. The reason why, because I'll need to check every single frame. And this will be key, you bastard. Key, come on, Unity. Dot shift. Let's go ahead and do left shift. Why not? And so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to modify the speed. So what we'll do is we'll say something. Let's see, because we already have a transform translate speed x up here. And so what we need to do is we actually need to modify speed x. So we're actually going to say, let's see, let's think on how we want to do this, because I've already said we want a lerp value. And so the way we're going to lerp the value is we'll actually say speed x will equal, I'm actually going to create another bool, and we're going to say is running. And so above this, I'm actually going to say if is running is false, then that's going to happen. And then for this right here, I'm actually going to say is running equals true. And so we'll say speed x equals a certain type of speed. Well, what kind of speed are we going to make it? So this is where we have to come in here and create a float. Float running speed. And running speed, that's just by itself right now, but we'll say speed x equals running speed. Well, what is running speed? And this is the question that's on everybody's mind. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to say running speed equals, I gotta look up the scripting API for this one. Hold on. API Unity, what? There we go. Punk. Okay, lerp. And I believe it's a vector 3. I know that's not right. Math F. Okay. They do have a vector 3, but yeah, to hell with that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to read these. If you've ever logged into this and you see public static float, lerp, float A, float B, you're like, what the hell? A lot of times you just kind of like scroll down here and hope that they have something in here. I'm going to explain how to read this. So we have mathf lerp. So let's start with that. Equals mathf.lerp. And then if we look in here, we have parentheses. So let's go ahead and add those in. Parentheses. And we come back here, and this is float A, float B. So our first float is, if we come up here, we have min run speed and max run speed. So let's go ahead and say min run speed, max run speed. So the way that this works, this is 0, this is 1. And so if we have any kind of value in here that is greater than 1, it will automatically give us our value right here. If it's 0 or less than 0, it'll give us this value. Anything in between, it'll give us the between values on these. So how do we make it where the player increases in speed? Well, we know we can do time.delta time. This will make it if the player is holding down the run button for 1 second, during that 1 second, they'll go from the min run speed up to the max run speed. Let's say we want them to hold the button down for 4 seconds. Well, so what we can do is we can say 0.25f times time.delta time, which would take 4 seconds. Additionally, you could also come in here and you can also type in time to max run speed. And then we could come down here and type that in, just time to max run speed. But we may not necessarily want to do that. And the reason why we may not want to do that is because if we set it up this way, I might say, hey, we need to take 4 seconds. So someone just goes in there and they put a 4 in there. And so there are other ways you can do this. Like we could actually divide this by, say, 100 or something and do it that way. I'm actually going to keep it in there the way it is set up because it is a float and we can modify the float however we want, just like we'll be able to modify these floats. So the float I've created in here is called running speed. And running speed is what will equal this lerp value. And then I have speed x equals running speed. So is what's going to happen is it's going to come back in here and grab this and set that. So as soon as you hit the left shift button, running equals true. And I'm going to create else running equals false. So that's the way that this is going to work. It's actually just going to do a check to see if you're running or not. Basically, if you're holding down the shift button or not. Pretty much you can press any button or let off of any button and you will no longer be running. So we're in the scene and I am not running. Oh, I know what happened. So, no, yeah, min run speed, 0. Okay, so the min run speed, we have our speed at 3. I'm actually going to say 3.5. Our max run speed should be 6. Time to max run speed, I'm going to say 0.25. So it should take 4 seconds. Or actually, I'm just going to say 0.5. It should take 2 seconds to get up to the maximum run speed. And then I don't think it's going to go back to the regular speed. I'll actually have to specify that in the script. So I'm going to come back here. Boy, that thing just darts off. That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to say else running equals false. Speed x equals speed, I believe. Yes. So now, if I press that, it should come back to regular speed. So I'm going to hit play. Wow, he just takes off. Okay, so let's go back into player, and I'm going to actually change these values. I'm going to set the speed at 1 for now. I'm going to set this at 1.2, and then this will be a max run speed of 3. So this is going to get really boring, but it will give us the information that we need. Okay, that's interesting. So is what's going on, whenever I hit the left shift, it goes in one direction. And I think it's what's going on is it's not doing the transform translate. And so what I need to do is actually change speed x to running speed, I think. Oh no, it definitely has to be speed X. So speed X will have to equal running speed, but I don't know why it's flipping it around like that. So I'm going to stop the tutorial here on this, and I'm going to go take care of the dogs, and I'll come back and we'll get it figured out.